Hello, everybody. How y'all doing out there tonight? This is Alan Freed, the old king of the Moondoggers, and it's time for another one of your favorite rock and roll sessions as you enjoy the Moondog Show. Of course, most of you, the vast majority, have no fucking idea what I'm talking about. What the hell's he getting on with? Is this the right podcast? Who fuck with my computer? My phone. No, just Google it. If you want to, I'm just going to leave that. That's my music contribution for today. I'm just going to leave that. And if you guys want to dig. I'd say wish there was a way to find out. If I was on the ball, I'd have like live. I should do this live. Why don't I? Oh, fuck, I really should. My God, I really don't put enough effort in. Anyhow, I think I would find out that 10% of you know what I was just talking about. Of the 10%, 2% would say it's the opening part of the song Cleveland Rocks, not by Presidents of the United States of America, as most of you would think. That song was written by Ian Hunter. He originally did it. Actually, I've always assumed he wrote it. It's the original anyway, Ian Hunter. Did he write it? I assume. He tended to write his own songs. But you never know back then. But and it sounds like a song that it doesn't sound like a song that you would just pass to somebody. Anyway, yes, it's a song, but there's also another very deep musical significance. There's a reason they used it in the song. Anyway, you can put the clues together. Why is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland sort of thing? Why does Cleveland rock? Anyway, so I'm coming to you, not live, but from Toronto, Ontario, my buddy, Turan the Sandman Samwith's house, because Senior and I, as most of you know, are going to Green Day, Smashing Pumpkins, and Rancid tomorrow. And there's even an opener for them. So it's pretty much an all-day festival thing, I suppose. Just says Green Day live on the ticket, but Rancid aren't bad. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, check out Rancid. Jesus, what the fuck is that one song? Shush something. It's just in my head. Wait, I gotta look it up. I've got to. My head keeps going. Okay, Rancid. Time Bomb is one. Oh, fucking Ruby Soho. That's it. Ruby Soho's in a few movies, and I don't know. I think that's on a lot of punk-ish, 80s-ish playlists. I would think. I'm looking right now at Spotify, and it says Time Bomb is their most famous. But I don't know. I would. They've got the odd. You know what? I liked, and their songwriting is decent. Like, I respect Rancid. I'm just not really into them, is what I'm trying to say to you. Smashing Pumpkins, now that was my era, right? Playing junior. I don't think they're from Seattle. Where are the Pumpkins from? I'm going to guess California. Here, let's look up that as well while we're going. My point is, because I've often talked on here, and if anybody's read Tales of a First Round Nothing, you'll know that one of my favorite things about playing junior, and one of the things that stands out to me in my life now as a music fan, is that I was playing in the 90s when Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Stone Temple Pilots, Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, like all these bands are, they're being formed and they're playing and they're catching on all over the world. And it was a real wild time, the grunge movement. Any music historian would tell you it was it was one of the bigger movements, since recorded music started. It was a huge thing. It spilled over. It's like the '60s, you might say, like the hippie music or the Beatles or the Stones are often, but they kind of set the trends, and it spilled. The music spilled over into style and into everything, and into movies, and it just music. You know, uh, Disco isn't as big as grunge, but that's another one, right? It spilled over. People wearing bell bottoms. It spilled. The styles were formed because of the music, so that comes along. But this was different. It was a feeling. It was like I said, Nirvana kind of. If we were in Tri Cities where I played junior, Tri Cities, you can say either. I think the team is the Tri City Americans, but they call it the Tri Cities. It's Richmond, Pasco, Kennewick. It's in southern Washington State. It's about, as I recall, I could be off here by 15 or 20 minutes, but it's like, say, 2.5 hours southwest to Portland and about 2.5 hours northwest to Seattle. Now, in Seattle, the big grunge movement was happening, right? And people were going there to record, and it wasn't just those grunge bands. It was a lot of music was taken off there. Again, much like London in the '60s is the closest thing that I can think of where it became about a movement. And, yes, the '60s had the Beach Boys and the Monkees, and, Beach Boys and the Monkees shouldn't be in the same sentence. Yes, I like them both, but the Beach Boys are miles ahead musically. But anyway, there were great bands over here. There always were, but the British invasion that came with the Beatles and the Stones, and then like Eric Clapton and the Yardbirds, and that happened first, and then like America kind of caught on. And just one sec. Hey Jesse, I'm good. I'm literally recording a podcast now. Can I call you back right after this? Yes, I am. Yeah. See you, buddy. Uh, there it is. Yeah, my buddy Jesse Kirsch, we call him. Who he's got an interesting story too. Check out the origins of Bar Down. And anyway, I'm getting off base. So I was going to talk about something totally different today, but anyway, just to put this in perspective for you here, right? Because I know some of you tune in. It's the off season anyway. I'll talk about hockey shortly. But it was a wild time. Now put this into perspective, right? Oh, I was going to see where Smashing Pumpkins were from. Let me see. Where the fuck are Smashing Pumpkins from? Terry, why do you put where the fuck into Google? Because I just want to see if the same thing comes up. Or if the fuck... No, same thing, yeah. Smashing Pumpkins. Fucking Chicago? Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. No. I knew Green Day were from California. Now, okay, so that's a good example anyway. So all of that shit was happening in Seattle. Now, California is not too far from there, but you would think, given LA and the size of California, that, and they've had movements happen there as well. Big, small, and the like, whatever. I mean, it's LA. Read the book The Dirt by each member of Motley Crue, essentially. That'll give you a little bit of an idea of how many bands and the style and I guess of that time, but LA's LA. But I'm just saying Seattle, because of Nirvana and because of Pearl Jam, I think most people could make an argument. And I'm telling you that when I first went down there, again, I'm 14 years old and was just drafted there. So it's 1992, right? And I'm, the first I wasn't even drafted there yet. I'd just gone out, right? And we're there, and I'm in Cornell and Tri-City are bringing me back and forth. Once they draft me. And, I'm staying with Todd Clausen, God rest his soul, one of the reasons I wore number 14 and continue to this day when I can. I would stay with Todd or a guy Rob Hartnell who fuck me is dead as well. Like man, so tragic because Rob was such a great dude too. And Rob, I played with in Tri City at that point when I was a kid, not even old enough to be in the league, and then again in Boise, and then in Bentley, Alberta. Anyway, two just great guys that I would stay with, like at 14 and 15, because you get drafted to the West, you get 2 years before you can even play outside of like 3 games I played or whatever. So um, that was it. But I would go down and I would stay with those guys. I remember Ryan Marsh, another guy. I would stay with him. They'd put me with guys on the team that they thought were leaders. I'm looking back, I'm guessing because that's kind of the way it worked out. Chad Cabana, I remember. Um, these are guys that were all captains or assistants or ended up being captains or assistants. But I would go down and then, whatever was cool. So I remember us going over, a bunch of us. And Smells Like Teen Spirit had just come out. And Smells Like Teen Spirit, like that was worldwide. I guess if you weren't alive at the time, if you were just alive and you're not into music, then you would know what this for sure. But if you were too young to remember, you weren't alive, like that hit, and like there was like the odd boy bandish thing, like the big hair bands of the 80s, like Poison, the Motley Crue thing. I know Motley Crue are back, but trust me, they were gone the way of the fucking dodo as soon as grunge hit. Big hair bands that were even people liked and had a following, had huge followings. I don't know, like fucking Slayer or oh god, more commercial than that though. Not quite like Aerosmith or the Stones. They kind of survived it. There were a few bands and like country was coming in, like Garth Brooks, like they survived it. But grunge ate up everybody else, just like when the fucking Beatles came in and that British invasion in the 60s, Frank Sinatra, Nat King Cole, right? Sammy Davis Jr. Boys, you're not going to be on the top charts anymore. You can keep playing Vegas, whatever you're doing, but it's gone, right? That was it. Firehouse, bands like that White Snake. There's a million of them in the 80s. That was the style. And a lot of it was good. I went to see Def Leppard last year and Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett. And what a fucking atmosphere. In the same spot I'm going to see Green Day tomorrow. But there is no denying when Smells Like Teen Spirit hit and it struck a nerve, it wasn't just the music. It was, the sound. Like, listen to the words of it if you don't know it. Like, fuck, man, the whole album. But listen to Smells Like Teen Spirit. We're here now, entertain us. Cobain's writing that, talking to a generation, right? Like, it's all in other. It's angry. It's rage. Here, entertain us. We're here now. You fucking boomers. What are you gonna do? In essence, we're lacking this, lacking that. We're just gonna rebel. Fuck you. We're gonna, it was a real. The Beatles were all about love, and I love that. So I guess I think naturally I go with them as much because I like their message as anything subconsciously, but I love Nirvana, and I don't think there's in my lifetime something you could say recent years hip hop kind of took over the charts, but I don't know, hip hop was still around. There's still people around like Snoop and Dre that are from then that are still have hits. I don't know grunge, and maybe you want to say punk, but I think grunge was like born in 91 or 92. It's some fucking musicians out there. Now it wasn't. I'm just saying from a pop fucking standpoint, I think it was. You could say, well, there's bands that sounded like I know, but I don't know I don't know about the word grunge itself, but what was happening was definitely unique. Fucking those bands I mentioned, man, and then within Seattle, I remember like Eddie Vedder and Pearl Jam being more popular. Like when the song first hit, Pearl Jam were just starting, but Eddie Vedder was in a band with Chris Cornell, man, before any of this. I'm going hungry. What the hell? Oh, Temple of the Dog. Check out Temple of the Dog. A lot of people don't even realize that shit, right? They all lived in Seattle. And I think that even was started to seep like that predated Smells Like Teen Spirit. I don't know about Nirvana themselves, but they, and so it was bubbling. But then when Smells Like Teen Spirit hit, man, and it wasn't just the sound, it really struck a nerve with people. Where here we are now, entertain us, right? Um, Even just that. Listen to all the lyrics, and I don't want to waste my time trying to go through them in my head because he's yelling half the time, but I know them all. And um, but it's built out of angst, and those are the most important. Um, yeah. Anyway, and then then Pearl Jam had that album with Jeremy. I remember that Alive. What was that? It was purple. I can't remember the name of the album. But anyway, that's where it kind of started for me. Right now, Portland, like I said, wasn't that far away, and there's a band from there I still listen to. The oh my God, Bohemian Like You, the Dandy Warhols. Great name. I listened to the song Bohemian Like You. Anyway, that was hitting at the exact same time. And then Green Day, like I said, they were out of California, which is just a little bit further down the coast, right? Seattle to Portland, Oregon is in Oregon. And then the next state is California. So so that music started to take over the coast, right? And then even like Gwen Stefani kind of came out of that because it was ska. They started, it wasn't Gwen Stefani, it was No Doubt, and they're like a ska band, right? Punk kind of ish ska, right? So it was all, and Green Day, you could say a lot of real pure punk is saying, oh, they're not punk. I don't know, man. I think they are. So whatever. A lot of people might beg to differ, but it's punkish, grungish, whatever. It all started to come together, right? It was a melting pot. Um, and even if you look at the Foo Fighters, which David Grohl, who's in Nirvana, started, after Cobain passed away, and I don't know the ins and outs of how he started that band, but he went right over there. And if you listen to like songs like "Learn to Fly" or Big Me especially, that could be right out of the 1960s, right? Because all the sounds started. It was a real great time for music experimenting. And like I said, it wasn't just those. I remember Tim McGraw and Faith Hill played in Seattle. And we went to, and I think they were just starting to go out. And again, it was like 90s country started to like really hit. And, but people were going there to record, right? They were specifically going to Seattle to record because that's where that's where the fuss was happening. That's where the creativity was happening. Again, people might know of Abbey Road Studios, and they might know the story of the Beatles in London. If you were to ask them, someone that's not a Beatles enthusiast would say, "Yeah, they're from Britain, they're from London," but they're not. They're from Liverpool. They went to London to record, right? So and everything was happening there. So after that, not just the Beatles, but bands you don't even fucking hear of, like Jerry and the Pacemakers and shit like that, right? They just went to London. David Bowie, fucking Eric Clapton, read Bowie, Clapton, Mick Jagger, or Keith Richards. Read their books. Now, the Beatles are great, and the Who, and I just think those four that I just mentioned. I read them all at the same time, and they kind of intertwine the same story of London, not just London, but I guess because they were all coming across each other, but it'll give you a great idea of what the time was like and how many people were going, that were not just going to, not just musicians, but listening to British music. Like it was rock and roll music, I guess. I don't know much about the other stuff coming out, but on the pop charts, as we would define it, the popular stuff that you're hearing on the radio, whatever it might be, right? A lot of people were looking at Britain. So in way back then, I saw every band I wanted to see. It was such a fulfilling experience to be, and I remember like all the time sending sending CDs. Again, there's no online or anything. Yeah, so like I remember going over and hearing a band named Mazzy Star. Most of you probably know who I'm talking about. And that's not, the girl's name is Hope Sandoval. Beautiful song, Fade Into You. Well, listen to the whole album. It's one of my favorites ever. So Tonight That I Won't See. And I don't know. Five String Serenade's probably my second favorite. I could go on and on and on. I love Hope Sandoval and I love Mazzy Star. A couple of those albums are absolutely magical. But the first time I heard it, I think I was with Damon Lankow and a few more. I don't know why. We would go to Seattle here and there, though. But I think, like, in a rare case, the bus, because we played there, of course, but it was like, we were all just getting our license. I think it was kind of frowned upon to be back and forthing to Seattle so much. But and Spokane was about an hour and a half. So I remember going there more than any of the other two, Portland or Seattle. But, the grunge fucking movement was happening. So I remember we were on just a hill. And again, it wasn't just over there to see the concerts. When I say I saw these bands, it was never in like, can't remember what the name of the rink is where Seattle played. It was where the Supersonics, the NBA team, played. That was huge. I'm sure they got great bands, and they did. But we were going into the, bars. I know we're too young. It's 21 in the States, but we figured out a way. And I swear to you, it was naive kids that went in. We found our way in. We weren't even drinking. I don't remember drinking ever in the bar back then. I remember having like specific house parties and people in school and that kind of thing. But we were just happy to go in. I remember Mazzy Star was playing in this place in the middle of the afternoon. And there was like 11 people there. And I don't know, it held maybe 100. Nice little, and they were playing in the corner. There wasn't even a stage. And I was like, shit, man, this is deadly. And I bought like 10 CDs and sent them each to my friends, scattered them throughout Newfoundland and Canada and Quesnel, wherever my buddies were. It could have been 6, could have been 12. I don't remember, but I bought a bunch and I sent them. Right. And then I remember maybe a year later, if that was like 92 or 93 when I first went there. Man. I don't even know if I had my license. We were there so much. It's hard to remember, but I do remember whenever it was after that, seeing them play on Conan O'Brien. And I think it was their national debut. And anyway, they're still not like overly popular, but I think most of you would. That song comes up in movie soundtracks, and I don't know if you've been in any mall, and it's just everywhere. Fade Into You, anyway. But anyway, so those things were happening. I remember seeing another guy, Pete Droge. Check out this song, If You Don't Love Me, I'll Kill Myself. Really odd title, of course. It was in Dumb and Dumber, so any of you that have seen that movie, it's only in there briefly, but you'll have the tune in your head. Anyway, just a beauty artist. He came out last year. I get notifications on my phone with another song called Only Have Eyes. It's deadly. Check those out, I'm telling you. If you like a melody, if you like light rock, anyway, it's the best way I can describe it. They're great. But anyway, it was people like that. And again, I saw Pete Droge. Like, I don't even think we needed to be old enough to get in the bar. I think it was a patio. Seattle's beautiful for that too, by the way. If it's not raining, it's beautiful. So it was just nice to go over there. And they also had a rock and roll kind of experience. I forget the name of it. Anyway, because Jimi Hendrix is from there, and then, all of this kind of started. So shortly after, in the later 90s, of course, I would still go back. They had, I think it was called the Paul Allen Music Experience. I don't know if it's still there. Look it up.
Bet the action on the ice with DraftKings Sportsbook. With DraftKings, you can bet on any game you want. Whether you want to bet the puck line or the over-under, DraftKings has something for everybody. And if you want, you can throw down on your favorite player as an anytime goal scorer. Or if you're looking for a long-term bet, maybe you want to predict the Stanley Cup champion. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN. New customers get $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on hockey. That's promo code THPN, as in the Hockey Podcast Network, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.co/ice for eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gambling resources. Copyright NHL 2024, all rights reserved. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, and more, it's easy to let your priorities, like self-care, slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it can be hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, those non-negotiables like therapy are more important than ever. BetterHelp isn't just for people who have experienced major trauma. It can be helpful for learning positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, or just empower you to be the best version of yourself. If you're thinking of starting therapy, why not give BetterHelp a try? BetterHelp is entirely online, so it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Plus, it's easy to get started. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge, no hassle, nothing. Never skip therapy day with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN.
Anyway, so I had always wanted, the only Green Day were playing in Tri-Cities once. So the rink in Tri-Cities we played at was, I don't know, I'm going to guess between 6,000 and 7,000 people it held, which would have made sense at that point because Green Day weren't as big. I mean, some people I'm talking to probably hate Green Day. It's because they are kind of divisive in a way, I guess. And don't tell me politically, because I know American Idiot is about George Bush. Well, I guess kind of. But, so Leonard Skinner didn't scream fucking liberal either. But, people's political views are just part of what they think, and the music is the music. Within bands, there's people that are or that are liberal, and there's others that are conservative, and they go on. So, because when I said Green Day, I got some people online, why don't you just blow Joe Biden? Look, fuck. It's not what I'm saying. I fucking love their music, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but at this time, their first album that I was aware of, probably not their first album, was called Dookie. And this tomorrow is like the 30th anniversary of Dookie. They're going to play the whole album. I don't think it was very politically charged. The first song that hit for me was Basket Case, and I think it's just a really well-written song. There was no internet, so you couldn't really tell what he was saying. You had to kind of, what's that? And word got out, and then you would talk about these songs. And I remember buying the CD and maybe even the fucking tape. I used to get the tape singles. Only place ever that I saw them was Tri-Cities. Like there was so many, but tape singles almost. I guess they were on the go. It's just I was 16, 17, 18. It's probably where I bought them the most, but 19, 15, 16, 17. And anyway, yeah, so but if I liked a CD, that's why so many of those bands I know all the songs, because you didn't have so many options. And I remember just thinking I was the cat's ass when in my trunk I got a 6 CD changer, right? And you'd go over, and then you were just at the mercy of those 6 CDs until you wanted to open your trunk and go again. And I had no problem with that. I still don't, because you would listen to the whole thing, and it didn't teach so much impatience that you need to keep skipping. But anyway, so Dookie, it was a great album, and I just never really got to see them. I remember, like I said, they were playing Tri-Cities, but we were leaving. Such a weird memory. We were leaving to play in Spoke or something. So we were still, or it could have been one of those two places. But, in our division was Prince George, 16 hours away. Kelowna was 8, 9 hours. Kamloops was the same. That's just our division. Then you get our league or the Central Division, which was like Brandon put it this way, was the furthest team. That was 33 hours away, right? And then coming back, that's almost over to Ontario. We're like on the West Coast. And then we would like come back and like Swift Current was like 28 hours or like it was insane. It was nuts. So like I know this happened when we were playing a close team because we were there for sound check, packing our bags up and everything. And I'll remember, for whatever fucking reason, Joe Diffie, and he sang us a song, Pickup Man. Any of the boys listening right now, Stalzy, I hope you're out there from that team. Stalzy was with me, and we kept delaying because we wanted to see, and he said he'd sing us the song. And he sang us Pickup Man. And I don't know why I remember that so significantly. And then he did half of Third Rock from the Sun. And he was kind of tinkering with it. I mean, it was sound check. He went there to play for us. For whatever fucking reason, Green Day were there, and he couldn't have been opening for Green Day, could he? I guess in those times, maybe. But they were just kind of fucking around, and I only knew Basket Case. And then I remember thinking to myself, and I think they might even have played like 2 nights in a row or something. I remember having the opportunity, and I didn't see them, and then listening to the album and going, what the fuck was I doing? And I remember choosing Bryan Adams, although there's nothing wrong with Bryan Adams, but he didn't really represent that movement or anything. He was still like 2, 3, 4 years into riding that I do it for you. Everything I do it for you. The Robin Hood theme, which no one ever hears anymore. No one talks about the movie. At the time, it was like a cultural phenomenon. Everything I do it for you is like my 27th favorite Bryan Adams song, but I bet you it was his biggest. You'd think Summer of '69 or something if you listen to radio now, or like Cuts Like a Knife or anything, or It's Only Love. I can go on and on, Run to You. You would think one of those, he had so many hits, right? And if you listen to the radio now, you would think it was one of the ones I mentioned, or I don't know, the one with that Spice Girl. When You're Gone. And again, I can keep going, but I don't think it was. I think it was Everything I do it for you from Robin Hood, where Kevin Costner said, fuck it, I'm not going to work with an accent. I know everybody thinks it, and I should because the guy was British, but I'm not going to. Fuck it, this is my Robin Hood. And it made like $6 trillion. The song was on the charts for like fucking 8 years. Fucking madness. No, I don't exaggerate. Whatever. It was number one for fucking 2 months if it was number one for a day. I promise you that. Check it out. Anyway, wow. I've been talking for a half hour about a story that really I was just going to lead into another thing with. So Smashing Pumpkins, I did see the album, I believe was called Siamese Dream. This is a problem when I got to sit here and not remember. And I'm going to see now Smashing Pumpkins because I used to only know by albums. Now I'm starting to forget because of fucking Spotify and iTunes and shit and YouTube. No, Smashing Pumpkins. Wait, I got to see. I'm saying Siamese Dream. Smashing Siamese Dream, yes. Oh, and you know what? It just came back to me. I don't even need to Google it. The Pearl Jam album I'm talking about is called 10. The cover's purple, but it's called 10. I hate to be wrong, so I got to fucking look it up. Pearl Jam. I shouldn't say I hate to be wrong. I hate to leave people with a falsehood. The least I can do is look into it, right? Okay, 10. Studio album by Pearl Jam. Fuck me, was that good. Yeah, and again, this was new music. Jeremy, Even Flow, yeah, and Alive, my 3 favorites on it. But that sound was new, and even though it was, and that's why. Check it out. Check out the original Woodstock, and then check out like Woodstock '94. I think it was when Green Day was like mud, or it was like Woodstock '97 or the new Woodstock or whatever. Anyway, again, you know what I'm talking about. So Google that, and you'll see like how much different that was from Woodstock. People like fighting, throwing mud at each other. Fuck you! Water bottles hitting each other in the head. It was fucking. But again, it was again. I don't. It was poorly planned because the message had. I guess with Woodstock, not everything went great. I'm sure that there was things that happened, but it was just a completely different vibe at this Woodstock in '94, I think it was, than Woodstock '69. Nothing. I hope I'm not offending anybody that's listening. If I hope someone didn't get killed or something. I don't think that happened. I remember it happened at the Rolling Stones concert with the HA there in California. Altamont, was it? But Altamont. I'm just saying it was a different vibe, but it was still no less like addictive or energy inspiring. Or so I went to see most of those bands. We saw Nirvana, for fuck's sakes, and which now looking back, can you imagine? I can say I saw that, but I honestly I knew nothing. The only thing that I knew was that song, and we were at this huge, weird room, but it was like a festival-y. I've seen it. I've Googled like Nirvana on YouTube, and I've seen a similar at least room where people are like walking around, and like it was again a novelty. They were playing it. I remember we were kind of late. We were over on the side, and it's such a foggy memory because I don't remember any of the other bands. It was just I remember that, and like kind of while we were walking in, they played it. And then I guess they must have gone into like other songs on Nevermind, which is one of the best albums ever. I guess it's arguable, but for me it is. And again, it's generation defining, right down to the cover with the boy, naked kid underwater. And it's just called Nevermind. I think that's the last word of the song, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Oh, well, whatever, never mind. Right? Hello. Or last word of the before the chorus. Right? In other words, yeah, you know what? We don't give a fuck anyway. Never mind. I just thought it was brilliant. Like 2 weeks, maybe 2 years, but within weeks, I started to realize I'm like, what? We were in the same venue. It wasn't a mall either, but I don't recall like having to sneak in. Not everywhere, I guess, a band plays is going to be booze involved, but this was. And I remember just being in Seattle and going kind of because of that. And it was like $10, and I was like, "Oh fuck, man, should I pay this? Really?" And like they were playing off in the distance. I could have ran and seen most of the song. Didn't happen. Right? I mean, I'm walking out. They're probably playing fucking About a Girl in Bloom, Come As You Are. They're probably playing them as I'm going. It's such a regret. But then if you believe in the butterfly effect, it wouldn't have lasted. Whatever I did then wouldn't have led to this. So, but anyway, maybe I'd be dead. You know what I mean? Maybe I would have gone, oh, fuck. Maybe I would have ran back, heard Come As You Are, and fucking felt, oh, my life's fulfilled, and then got fucking hit by a bus on the way crossing the street later. So I guess I shouldn't say I shouldn't regret. Actually, no, I do. I do regret it. Because just outside of the butterfly effect, okay, and science, who knows? All I know is that if I'd had my time back, say if right now I was just transported to that very moment in my life, I would go the fuck back and watch the rest of Nirvana play live. Now, I never would have gone to see Rancid on their own. I will pepper into the stadium a little early tomorrow and probably take in most of their show. They're going to encore with their best, so maybe as long as I get there by then. Again, not to be disrespectful, I know I'm going to get lots of messages now about you fucking hate Rancid. No, I don't. I just never in my life would have paid to go see them out of nowhere. There's too many things to do, especially nowadays. Smashing Pumpkins, yes. I would have and I haven't. I don't recall going to see them back then, and I think they're big enough that I would remember because they came just a little tinge after that, a tinge, and that time like 4 months was like 6 albums by like wicked bands and stuff. So, but or in those hockey players out there that go that move away from home to play, you know how like September seems so much different than May. You're like, oh my god, like in September it's like getting dark every day. No, October, November, you're in the dog days of it. It's like, fuck, man, we're only in game 15 of like 72, right? And I'm talking when you're like junior age. And then, you know, Christmas comes and then, you light writings on the wall. Then who knows? Now the playoff push, man. And it seems like, and then the playoffs come and, you're so heavy set minded on the playoffs and winning that that whole experience is like a ride in itself if you even make it to the second round, let alone the third, fourth, or Memorial Cup, right? And then the end of the year and the weather's getting nice again and you can wear sandals and go, fuck, I forgot what it was like not to go and have to fucking skate every day. Like wild, like whoa. And it seems like 10 fucking years have gone by. So when I tell you that, like, oh, like I remember Smashing Pumpkins coming way after um, Nirvana, it was probably just when certain songs were released, and really it could have been the difference between just a few months. But honestly, that's the way time goes. Maybe for everybody, but I know for everybody when you're that age. But I think it's just more pronounced when you move away from home, right? For me, I just felt like, man, I remember after that first year, major, junior, one thing to be in Quesnel, but my parents were there with me for some of that time, and I wasn't in major, junior yet. I couldn't drive. I didn't really feel like a man at any point in Quesnel, BC. And again, those that don't know the story, I played junior there. So that's part of my junior experience. And yes, it did feel like I grew in more ways than one. I mean, I went out there a virgin and came back not a virgin after my 14-year-old year, right? I'm 15. Again, I couldn't drive every day, but my buddies let me drive their car. My buddy Kurt Lowe, farmer who I just visited in Prince George, let me drive it, and I wrapped it into a tree. I was going to say around a pole, but I literally went into a tree off a bank. If the tree wasn't there, we would have gone down over the hill. Oh, yeah, I fucking rode off his Camaro, if you can believe that. There was lots of happening. There was lots, I remember just, your first real time getting drunk with the junior team, and that probably meant 3 or 4 beers from you then. It was kitty gloves with the boys on the team, but the first fight and all that, hockey fight. So there were all kinds of firsts that were happening. It's just for some reason when I was in Tri-Cities, I'm like, okay, I'm in another country. I'm 16 now. They picked me. The whole wait is over now. I'm here, right? And I got there. My parents were long back. My dad was teaching again. My mom was working for the British confectionery, and I was on my own 5,000 miles away on the West Coast, almost the West Coast, in Kennewick. And, I could drive out there. I think in Newfoundland it's at 17. At the time out there it was 16. So I got my license, got a nice little Dodge Lancer, man. It was nice. And the Booster Club helped me with it in Tri-Cities. It was crazy. You could, we had booster buddies. They had to stop doing it or like put a limit because like we had people buying us. Well, like I said, one group bought me a car. It was, I don't know. It had seen better days. It was probably like $1,000 or $1,500, but it was a car, right? A girl named Sylvia. Anybody listen to this that came across Tri-Cities for those first 5 years? Sylvia, she bought me, I don't know, 5 suits, man. She used to do these scrapbooks for us. Like we were spoiled, right? And I so having a car all of a sudden, and I'd never even gotten behind a wheel in Newfoundland. I felt so far removed from my buddies and everything. And like I said, like I could just all of a sudden, like I lived with my parents and never drove. I'm always with, even when I was 14, 15, and these guys in Quesnel are up to 21. Like they were so much older than me, right? They were like so much older. But now even I'm 16 and there's only 3 20-year-olds allowed on the team. And now most guys are 16, 17, 18, or 19. And like I said, by the end of that year, my first year, I turned 17. It's a year of major junior. This is real, right? Now all of a sudden you see the draft ratings for the next year come out. This is real. TSN are at the game, guys. It just felt to me. And then, like, you go back the next season after being a rookie, and now you're in your draft year, right? Then at the end of your draft year, we find out we're going to be first rounders, likely. And then at the next year, you go to your first NHL camp, right? And at the end of that year, I signed my first contract. So, like, even though a lot had happened at 14 and 15, each year, and I'm just describing what a lot of you go through as hockey players. Okay, maybe not everybody with the first round and the signing and stuff, but you know what you're going to, if you're going to CIS or university, hockey, you're probably figuring out what programs you're going to take, right? You're still growing. Each year in major junior, whether there's pro or not involved in your future, is a crazy growing process, or is a crazy step in your maturity, because it is for anybody's at that age. But you're like on your own and learning how to make food. Now, for me, that was, oh man, yeah. My billets used to make these burritos with me, so I could just heat them whenever I wanted, and we'd just freeze like 1,000 of these things. We'd go and I had breakfast burritos, me and Zenith Kormaniski. Used to make a bunch of those, like put out like 100. Then we'd have like 50 each in the deep freeze, and then make a bunch of pizza ones, and then a bunch of, like, I don't know, chicken and rice ones. And that was the extent of my cooking. It was like one afternoon a month, load up with all of this shit, make wraps out of them, and fire them in the freezer. So then every day when we got back after school or practice, I'd just fire it in the microwave or the oven. And that would be every single thing that I made for myself. The EBs, Mark Eby, Namts Eby, they were great to me. And they of course cooked us supper and cooked us meals, but there's enough time, especially growing boys, as you would say. Fuck, man, we wanted, we ate a lot. So I cleaned out so many of those things. That's a long way around it. But anyway, so that's these times are when I've wanted to see Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins since then. Like, and I thought it was going to happen then. Like, one of these days, coming home, grabbing a burrito was one of the days that I looked at Zeke and Zenith Kormaniski and went, Zeke, my roommate. By the way, check out Zenith Kormaniski's first goal, his only goal ever in the NHL. I won't ruin the story. Unbelievable story, though. Check it out. Anyway, I look over at Zeke, and I was, what the fuck am I talking about? Oh, yes. Well, I think we had something stupid to do, like go to a hot tub party, whatever it fucking was. And it was like, we were off, and we usually weren't off. I remember that. And I'm just looking over at Zeke and going like, hey, should we fucking go to this Green Day? And he was like, we're going to Bryan Adams anyway. And whatever it was, I even remember where we went. We went to this, it was like a trailer. Not like a trailer, it was, but it wasn't like this rundown trailer in the middle of nowhere in some trailer park that nobody heard of. It was like there was a few places in Tri-Cities where, like, it'd be nice, beautiful meadows and a kind of weird subdivision-y vibe, but not quite, with these trailers. And the industry there was a nuclear power plant. So a lot of people, like, right out of high school could start working towards getting at least into that. I don't know. I know in, like, Quesnel, people would work in, like, the mill right away and make, like, at the time, which was a lot, like $38 an hour. Man, in the early 90s, like my buddies. So that's why a lot of them are still there, and they're making good money, and they moved up, and I remember, and, like, Quesnel's a nice place to live. So a lot of people in Kennewick did the same, right? But I don't know how quick they could make that great money, but I know that a lot of them had jobs where they could support themselves, like, immediately. So we hung out with some girls that still came to Americans games that, like, might have hung out with our guys that were 20 or 21 that were 3 or 4 years out of high school, right? But we were still, when I first went there, like, in high school, but that's how we met a lot of these people. So they would have, they weren't, because when I say, the adults used to take us into the trailers, that sounds twisted. It was honestly healthy. You're growing up. We would have, I remember us even calling the coach. That's the fucking truth. That's how well behaved we were. I mean it. Anybody listening, you'd think, You guys were crazy. Now we had some great parties, but our coach knew about it. And I remember once calling Bob Laux and going, Bob, look, here's the thing. We're at a party. I'm going to tell you that, right? So and I'm going to call you because no one else wants to. Now it's like 20 minutes to 11. We can all get home now. We can all get rides, but please, can you give us an extra hour? I remember maybe might have said 2, but I was like an extra hour. But we don't play. It was a rare occasion for sure. We wouldn't have been doing it. We probably didn't play for 2 days or like even practice for 2 days. Could have been like a break. I can't remember, but I remember he goes, no way. And I was like, oh, yes. And I remember going, I can't hear you. And he said like something or I'll be pissed. But I was like, pissed or yeah. Did you say yeah? And I looked at everybody and I put the phone up. I go, Bob Laux, he's letting us. What a great coach, everybody. We love you, Bob. And I got everybody to start chanting it. And then he was on the phone. I'm going to fucking get you for this new. He probably did. He used to skate us here and there. But it was all with tongue in cheek. And we didn't, like I said, yeah, we're calling him for an extra hour. But, he probably many times wouldn't have known the difference, man. Like, I remember me and Zeke could easily just have jumped out of our window. We could have gone out our back door. And, like, we never even attempted it. It was... we really, really respected our coach, our teammates, our team, the situation. And, once in a while when we were honest like that, whatever coach it would be, that was our approach. Like okay, you know what? I'll end it on this. Our approach was one of honesty and I guess naive determination, focus, because childlike maybe, in that we like obeyed our coaches like parents, like we really did. And if there was anybody in at least my experience in Tri-Cities, no, we didn't win the Memorial Cup, but we had a great team. A lot of guys learned and got drafted high because of it, are better people to this day. And we lost to Kamloops, who won 3 out of 5 Memorial Cups, man. And we took them to 6 games one year when they won the final Memorial Cup 9-1. Check it out. So we had a lot to feel successful about. We had a great group of people that took that challenge upon us, and we were as much as we did some fun things. And you'll hear stories. You'll hear about the Mike Milbury story, right? You'll hear about, oh God, crash test dummy story and things. But we were just having fun, and our coaches knew about all those things. I told a story about going to McDonald's with my skates on during a gas leak. If you don't know, buy tails of a first round, nothing. But anyway, it was on the level. It was on the level. Our coaches knew. They're absolutely fantastic memories. But yeah, looking back, I remember going, Zeke, should we go to Green Day? Nah, fuck it. Now here I am. That was in 1995. So that will be coming up on 30 years. No, we didn't want to do it. And then you'd think over the course of my hockey career, even just career of being a human at 47, I would have found myself in a city at some point or close to that Green Day are playing, let alone both of these guys together. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. There you go. Oh, 51 minutes of a mention of something. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. The shit I had to talk about is not important anyway. It's summertime there. It's a music story, not a hockey story, but it's all a hockey story, isn't it? Because everything that led me here has to do with hockey. Everything that I just told you has to do with hockey in some way or another. Back then it was directly because I was in the area, because Tri-City, because I pursued hockey. And I thank my parents for that in the end, more than anything. Okay. I'll be back real soon with a guest. I'm not sure who it's going to be because I just got here. Like I said, I'm going to Shoresy on Saturday. We're going to get back to some great guests next week. I promise you. I might even get one today. It's just a bit of a rush, but I will. I'm going to be in my hotel next week. We'll be shooting some Shoresy, and everything will be a little more scheduled. There you go. And I only like to bother some good guests when I can actually schedule them. I hate putting off fucking Doug Gilmore and people like this. But I do have some great guests coming, and I've been lazy. But aren't we all at some point? At some points. Anyway, if you're in St. John's, Newfoundland, please do me a favor. If you're going to go downtown at all, if you want to have a beer, even if you want to have a fucking Coca-Cola, if you want to go down and take in the vibe of George Street, you got to check out Trinity Pub, TJ's Pub, the Martini Bar, Rob Roy Confusion, the Bull and Barrel, and of course Greensleeves Pub. If you want a bite to eat, right above Greensleeves Pub is Loose Tie. And of course, you have Blue on Water. Why not go there and check it out? Peter Wedgwood Cafe, another great spot to eat in the East End, right at the end of Elizabeth Avenue. Ryan Power Conditioning, strength and balance for the body and mind, Rope Walk Avenue. Mr. Lube, 2 locations. One is on Torbay Road, one is on Kenmount Road. Live, laugh, lube. Pitbull Pain Relief Pain Sticks, just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com, see what all the fuss is about. Mugsy Jeans, stretchy, comfortable. I love my Mugsy Jeans. True Hockey, take what's yours. Love me True Hockey sticks and me True Hockey equipment as well. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you're in the area and I'm in Toronto and you're going to the Green Day concert tomorrow, I'll be there with my dad. Like I said, I'd much rather chat in person than right here. And it'll be a great atmosphere. Hope to see you guys there. Go Canada, the Olympics. And thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the rebound.